Welcome to another edition of Power Purls podcast, the video version of Power Purls, a podcast to empower your yarn crafting, to bring out your inner knitting rebel. And I'm broadcasting here on video every week. Now, today is a special broadcast because Friday I'm going to be out of town. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to stay committed to being on here every single week. So today I have a special for you guys because I am chit-chatting with Tabetha Hedrick, who is the design director of SweetGeorgia Yarns. And she's also the new co-host. And we had just released our first episode together, and we talk about all things mindset, which we thought was the perfect way to start the season. And we offer 8 powerful butt-kicking mindset strategies for you guys to help remove those creative blocks that keep us stuck. So some of the things we talk about are why it's a good idea to surround yourself with uplifters, to go to something called the spiritual gym, which we didn't coin, but Jen Sincero did, and also creating affirmations and getting out of your PJs. That's one of Tabetha's favorites. So these are just some of the ways that you can remove those blocks. And these are the things that we talk about. So these can really help you cultivate this success in life and in business. So if you want to take a listen, or have a listen, I should say, to that episode, you can go to powerpurlspodcast.com/79, and that is the latest episode on the podcast. And before we dive in, it's, as always, I always like to ask you guys to jump into the comments and, just say where you're viewing from, and then please share this video, because the more, the merrier. So, all right. So without further ado, I would like to welcome back to the show, Tabetha Hedrick. Hello, Tabetha.
Hello. How are you?
This is great. I am so excited because you know what? I've been chatting you up, girl. You know that over the last several weeks, like crazy, in the newsletters, on social media, everywhere I could think of. And you are now the official co-host of Power Purls podcast.
It's official.
And it's official. And so we just started a season. You're going to be sprinkled through there's going to be a few solos in there in the mix, but generally speaking, you are the new co-host, and we just finished up a fiber loving life and business series of episodes.
Yeah,
and I thought we could highlight those today a little bit. Just kind of go through that, kind of like an overarching view. But before we do, I'm going to shut up before we do, because I can just keep on talking. Before we do, please, I would love for you, Tabetha, to share a little bit about yourself and how you found your way to this fiber-loving yarn crafting world. So go for it.
Oh, a little about me. How did I get here? I pretty much should have this memorized, but I never do. But I started knitting about... I think it's been about 10 years now. No, my oldest just turned 13, and I started knitting the year before she was born. So it's almost 14 years now. A freshly minted teenager, by the way. I could use all of your sympathy. Anyway, she was born about a year after I started knitting. And so I started off like any new knitter does, knitting for my children, knitting a couple blankets here and there. Then I found that my artistic and crafty background, I came from a mom that immersed us in a world of crafts growing up, that it just kind of compelled me to design a little, into the world of design. And so that's pretty much where I went. And I started with sock patterns, and then grew into garment patterns from there, and grew into magazine submissions and books, and eventually rolled into SweetGeorgia Yarns as their new design director. So that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's you in a nutshell. But I really love your story, Tabetha. I don't know if you want me to tell this, but how you you kind of discovered knitting or designing is more like you were already knitting, or maybe you weren't, but you ran into a designer friend she's a pretty known designer, Jill.
Yeah.
And met her, or you met her in McDonald's, isn't that right?
We had just moved to Colorado and it was snowing. So pretty much the only place you could go with small children was McDonald's. So we ended up going to McDonald's. I pull out my knitting. I'm just knitting some
forgive
socks.
You. It's okay.
Yeah. Forgive me. Don't judge. And so I'm sitting there knitting, and this British woman with a very strong British accent comes up to me and she says, "What are you working on?" "A pair of socks." And we just started chatting, and she said, "Have you ever thought about designing?" And I went, "Designing what?" She said, knitting patterns and stuff. And I went, "You can do that?" Like, it just never dawned on me that you could work for magazines. I don't know what it was. I always thought that the designs I found in magazines or books came from like this special team of people within the magazine or something. It may have back in the day. I don't know. But she gave me her card, and I went home and I told my husband about this very strange English woman that I could barely understand, and how she inspired me, and I'm going to do what she suggested I do. I'm going to design. And he just went, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I can remember those pats on the head too.
Yeah.
Like, how would it, and it's funny because I'm actually going to be telling a story about that coming up on the podcast, just sort of like that, where you feel like, okay, I really want to do this. I feel like this is the right thing, but I'm not really even sure if it's possible, and nobody else does either. Yep. But that takes some really unshakable faith, but not just faith, like passion, excitement. You know what I mean? So that's what we need to have as creative people, especially aspiring to have a business. Because those are things that, all the little nitty gritty things we talk about in the upcoming episodes. But isn't that true? I mean, man, it's like that unshakable faith and belief in our passion to lead the way is what got us where we both are today.
Absolutely. It's just the insatiable desire to learn from the mistakes you made, to just keep trying to get better every day. And that's such a big part of it. And then after that, it's that just dig your heels in and refuse to let go.
Right. Well, this is good. So we're going to kind of transition a little bit and talk about some of the upcoming episodes. But before we do, I just want to say, sorry, it's kind of dark in there. Do you have a blind you can open? You look really dark.
I don't know why. Let's see. I had to change locations recently.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit better. That's a little bit better.
I'm in a darker spot.
Because you're a photographer, light.
Yes.
No, that helps. That's helpful. Yep. Definitely.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's kind of talk a little bit. So we have our current episode, which is episode 79, and I shared that in the beginning of this broadcast, and it's about how to master your mindset, really to just really get that in line before anything else. Now, we talk about it from the business perspective, and I kind of rephrase this series as fiber-loving life and business because it all works together. And whether you guys want to start a business, if not, these things are gold. So you guys can totally use these things as well. But we share 8 tips. So you guys should go check that out. So really great tips. So there's 8 different ways that you can really sort of sharpen the saw. I don't know where I'm coming up with these. Sharpen the saw when it comes to how to really work on your mindset. And I think the overarching thing is belief. We just said it before. So we sort of already said that before I even got into this, right, Tabetha?
Yep.
So that's where it all starts.
That's where it starts.
Mm-hmm. And then upcoming episodes, we've got defining your purpose-driven mission. And what is this about? Well, this is about really remembering to stay connected to your why. So with mindset, right, we talk about these 8 things. And then when you get to that point of defining, what is it that you want to do? What is your purpose that keeps you on track? Because you lose your purpose and you forget why the heck you were doing it. And then that's how we fall off track, right?
Absolutely.
So
we really dig into that particular episode, if I recall. Now when we recorded these all in like a couple different lump sum sessions, it was fantastic. But I I think doing it that way, we were able to really, really dig deep into our conversations on all of our whys and really personalize how it came about for us. And that one is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, that is a good one. And I think when we were going through each of the episodes, it was like we got into this flow. Because one of the bullets here I was going to mention is batching and theme days.
Yep.
Because that's kind of what we were doing, and the magic of actually batching in the moment. Like, we could easily refer back to something we talked about in something that we would be in a different episode, so that we could connect the dots and be really engaged and really into it.
Right.
You can't do that when you're bopping all over the place, or not bopping all over the place with like if you stop and you start something,
right.
You completely have to start over. And that's in anything. That's like with, like I said, doesn't have to be business. It's just in general in life. So there's something so valuable about being able to like really putting your nose to the grindstone, getting in the flow and just staying with it. So anyway, so defining your purpose-driven mission, that's going to be coming up soon. And then this is a big one. How to keep the passion in yarn crafting, knitting, crochet, whatever you're doing.
Burnout is real, man.
Yeah. So after you start a business, how do we do that, Tabetha? How do you keep the passion going in your knitting?
Well, they'll have to listen to the podcast to know, don't they?
Yes.
No, it's a serious question, because burnout is a real thing. You're going to have those weeks where you're overloaded with emails, or things go wrong, or the yarn doesn't work, or just, I remember I was working on a book years ago, and it was one series of problem, one right after the other. And the very last project that I had to re-knit because the sample knitter did not follow gauge, and so my sample turned out to be humongous. So I had to rip it all and re-knit it, and the yarn bled everywhere, like all over itself. It was a Farrow pattern. And I just remember throwing my hands up and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. So.
Oh no.
So
that's going to happen.
It's all connected. You said a few minutes ago that we connect the dots, and all of this is connected with mindset and with why and with passion. And it's when one thing starts to give you trouble, such as your passion, you go back to your why. You go back to your mindset. You go back to all of the reasons you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. And like one of the things that we talk about in the episode is how to something as simple as if you are starting a side gig trying to design, always have a project that's like a free form, like, it could be someone else's design, somebody else's pattern, or something that's like, there's no rhyme or reason. And that's what keeps me connected. Seriously. Like because I do craft shows. Yeah. And one is coming up. I'm so excited. So I've got all these shawls around me, right? So what am I going to do with all these? So I sell them. And
that's awesome.
For people that want to wear them. And it's so much fun to just say, you know what, I'm not pounding the pavement, or I'm not, doing this as a main business, but it's just like to get to meet people, and they're like, ooh, I get to sell my stuff. So those kind of outlets are really important, because that's what keeps me going, and that's what helps keep me fresh. So another topic is start small, go deep. Now, this is another way of this is phrased, and I don't think we said this in the episode, but an inch wide and a mile deep.
I don't remember saying that.
We didn't,
like
but this is really, I didn't make this up. This is out there, but it means like you have one thing, this one flagship offering, let's say, in your business or whatever it is that you're planning on doing, and you go drill down, you go a mile deep on it. Yep. And that, you guys, that are, some of you are watching, and I'm going to get to you guys in the comments in a few minutes. I'm sorry I didn't say hello yet, but hello everyone, and I'm going to jump in. But what was I saying? So the shawl challenge that's coming up. And then to follow that is a workshop. These are the things that I'm really focusing on. Like, I've been doing lots of different things, and some of you guys that have been following for a while, you've seen me do lots of different programs, but this year has been so different. 2018 has been a year of focusing down, niching down, and focusing on one thing, because then it's like I can offer gold. I can really go deeper and deeper every time. It's not like, it's the same old thing. It's like, how can we how can we reinvent this? How can we learn something new again this time? So, and it's so far, it's been great because
awesome.
a lot of my alumni, my graduates from last year are joining me again. So it's awesome. So anyway, so that's kind of what I'm saying as far as that idea of an inch wide and a mile deep. So we go into that, right, Tabetha? We talk about that and your offerings, keeping things small, right?
Mm-hmm.
And another topic is, how do I know if my idea is viable? And I can run through these, or you can just pop in when you want. Just cut me off.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah. No, I mean, so how I know, how do I know if my idea is viable? And I get that a lot from, especially from clients that I work with, coaching, people that I coach. You don't know that's the first thing I said, right? In the beginning of the episode, I'm like, I hate to break it to you, but you don't, until you try. And Marie Forleo is someone that I follow. Love her. And she says, clarity comes from engagement. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
And I think I was trying to say that in the episode, but I was like, I butchered it because I'm like, what?
There's a reason why we love There's a reason why we love Marie.
Yeah. It's so true. And what does she mean? Clarity. And this goes for you guys with your knitting, with your trying new things, like we're going to be doing this shawl challenge, picking up your needles. Oh, I don't know if that yarn's going to work. Well, just try. You never know. The things that you're going to discover are going to be magical and like gold. So clarity comes from engagement on any level, life, business, whatever, right? That's the only way to really know if something's viable. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Everything I have done has come from just doing it. And sometimes they fail and sometimes they don't. And when they do fail, lesson learned, and I'm able to go forward with the next project with so much more information. So there is no wrong answer.
Right. And you say there's no wrong in knitting. I love that.
There is no wrong in knitting. That's my mantra.
It is your mantra. It is so true because we know a lot of people from the creative knitting days. It's like people that, especially I think tech editors, you see this a lot. No, I'm not knocking tech editors because we love you. But like, it's like that black and white mentality of, nope, you do it this way, not that way. I disagree. Unless there is a true technical flaw or a pattern, you can't understand it. Like you literally like miss the stitch count and you've got a leftover stitch or whatever it is. But when it comes to trying new things and experimenting, there's no wrong. I mean, there isn't.
There's no wrong. People ask me all the time, I don't like using DPNs. So should I do this? If you don't like it, do something else. How do you think we
use toothpicks? I don't care.
Yeah, I mean,
use sticks go get some twigs out in the woods.
That's right. How do you think
chopsticks?
We got so many different types of shawl shapes now? It's not the traditional square or triangle anymore. It is asymmetrical and sideways and bottom up and bottom down. And it's because people just try new things. We have top-down sweaters instead of the regular seamed straight up, straight from the bottom up. We have, what is it now? 4 different ways to work. What direction is this? Can't remember. The SSK /
right.
Slip one, purl one, knit 2 together.
But the left
leaning decrease. There's like 4 or 5 different ways you could do that now, and it's because there is no wrong way.
Because people have said, "Hey, I'm going to try this different."
You're going to pick the way you like, and that's the right way for you.
Yeah, and just kind of going off on a tangent here, but like with the shawls workshop that's coming up in May, it's later. It's after the free challenge, but I'm still working on some of the material, and I'm going to be creating a bonus, a bonus module. And you are like you really have some good, you got the goods when it comes to like shawl design yourself. And one of the things that people ask me a lot about are asymmetrical shawls. Now I do them myself. But I'm wondering if it would be cool. Maybe, hey, this is just putting it out there. Maybe you need to be my guest instructor.
I'm sure it could be discussed. I'm sure it could be discussed.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, we can use some SweetGeorgia. Yeah. But anyway, let's chat about that, girl.
Let's put a pin in that.
Let's put a pin. So that's it, you guys. So other things, we talk about planning systems, batching days. Yes.
Sorry, I love
Planning. Yay. So you're going to have to wait for that because we're running out of time. I'm trying to keep this tight today. And then how to write snappy online copy because, as online business owners, people that I talk to and I work with, I'm helping them to really crush it online, right? That's what we want to do. So you got to write some good old fashioned copy. Well, not good old fashioned copy, but copy that's
usable tips for you in that episode too. Like you can walk right out the door with knowledge, ready to go.
Absolutely. And there are some, new rules to the online space, especially when it comes to writing copy. So we're going to help you out with that. Yeah. So Tabetha, this is it. So I'm going to actually switch gears. You guys don't leave because I'm going to answer some questions that have come up about the Shawls Challenge. But in the meantime, I just wanted you guys to get to officially meet Tabetha if this is the first time you are meeting her, and just a little bit of what's happening on the podcast over the next couple of months.
We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. So Tabetha, thank you so much for joining me today.
As always, it's a blast.
All right. I will talk to you very soon. Okay.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye. Yeah. All right, you guys. So it's just me now. You got me. I'm in the room. And so I'm going to jump into to the comments here and say hello. So, hi, Bev. Nice to see you as always. Christy, no wrong in knitting and just design elements, says Christy. I'm going to pop that up here because I love popping up your comments and questions on screen just to recognize you guys because that is huge for me. Christy, says, hi, Chris. So you guys are getting to know each other. This is great. Amber, Amber left. So Amber, if you're watching the replay, I hope you do come back because some good stuff. I'm going to answer some questions. Amber has a sick kiddo. So sorry to hear that, Amber. Petra is in the room. Hello, Petra. Nice to see you. Patricia is here. Hi. Marlene is here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Michelle says, hi, I have 30 minutes. Woohoo. So I hope you're still in the room, Michelle. We've been on now for a little over 20 minutes. I'm talking fast. I think I had a lot of coffee, although this isn't coffee. This is water, but I love showing off my beard mug. So let's see. Troy. Hello, Troy. Nice to see you. And let's see. So I got you, everybody in the room that's hanging out with me today. So, again, thanks for joining me. Different time. I try to let all you guys know through social media, the newsletter, all that good stuff, because I'm going to be answering some questions. So some of you guys, I can see, you guys have signed up for the challenge and had some questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go through. So I usually do a burning question of the week, which you guys, if you've been following along, I do this. But today I'm going to answer some questions. So since we're doing this Wednesday instead of on Friday, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer some questions that have come in through the Stitchucation community, right? So if you joined the Shawls Challenge, you also received an invite for that if you're not yet in that group. So let's see. So now's the time. Also for you guys here, if you do have any questions about the challenge and what's happening, because it's the Stitchucation Shawls free 5-day journey through the art of shawl making, and that's intuitive shawl making. Okay. So it starts April 30th, which is this coming Monday. I can't believe it. Monday. We're starting, through May 4th. So we have just a few days left, the weekend almost, right? So sign up by going to karagotwarner.com/shawls. And then when you do, I'm going to take out my little ear pods here because I don't need to hear Tabetha anymore. But when you do, you will get my free yarn substitution guide for shawl making. So it's specifically for shawl making. And I think I saw someone in the comments here, Marlene, I think you had a question about the guide and about if it was referring to the, like this. Let me show you on this is the shawl in the workshop that I'll be doing in May. And so the top, the long edge, right, of the shawl right here. So yes, those measurements refer to the long edge of the shawl, not from the tip to the neck, if that makes sense. So along the long edge of the shawl is the measurements that I give inside that guide for how much yardage you generally need. I mean, those are ballpark, but they're pretty good. Okay. So, again, it's karagotwarner.com/shawls. if you have not signed up, and you can get the free guide that I just mentioned. So here are some of the questions that have been coming in, and it's great because these are like gold. You guys have been asking a lot of questions in the group because I've been asking you guys what's your favorite cast on for shawls, what's your favorite shawl shape, and then other questions have come through too. So here goes. So the first question is there a pattern for this challenge? And that's been a question that has come through a couple times. So no, it is not. There's no pattern, but something even better, in my opinion, because we're focusing on intuitive knitting, intuitive shawl making, right? So what I want you to be able to do is to start making your own decisions, right? So it's a template. So it's a template that will allow you to plug and play stitch patterns so that you can come back and customize later, like this shawl here with the open work that you could, I sort of showed it off. And we didn't talk about this with Tabetha, but this is made in the Party of 5. This is a sock weight yarn, and it's the mini skeins, the mini skein set, and that's what this is made from. And this is part of the workshop that I will be sharing much more with you guys in the coming weeks, so you can take advantage of, getting in on that. And this is the basic pattern, but you can explode from here and do lots of different things. So, no pattern for the challenge, but a template that you guys will get that you can plug in your own stuff. And then during the challenge, we're going to be doing stuff like this. So we've got these little shawl babies. So if you guys joined me last year, I love to call these little shawl babies. Here's another one. Look, isn't that cute? So stuff like this. And so it's essentially you are making the full size on a small scale, so you can test the waters and see if you like it. And if you don't, you do something else, right? So this gives you the idea of the nuts and bolts, right? So that's to answer that. So I hope that helped you guys. Another question was, will we be making a full size shawl? Again, no, not for this challenge, because we only have 5 days. We can't make a shawl in 5 days, although some people can. And if you got some super bulky yarn, have at it. But, and this is a big but, you will have all the knowledge to do so. So after the 5 days are over, you can hit the ground running and actually make your own shawl for sure, because you're going to have all the tools. Another question is, do we need any special supplies? Now, if you guys signed up, I sent a supplies list email, which you should have all received by now if you did sign up. But I'll just go through here. Circular needles. So interchangeable sets are the bomb because you can quickly change them out. My favorite are Denise needles, and I love using Denise because they're easy to switch, so easy. And I'll be showing those off a little bit more during the challenge because they're my go-to needles. And stitch markers, of course, because we need to be able to know what's happening, when we need to increase, especially in the center of the shawl. Let's see, other knitting basics, of course, so check your email, check your inbox for that. And another question was, what size needles / yarn do we need? You don't need anything special here because what you got on hand is all you need to worry about. Various size needles, various size yarns. Again, this is sock weight. This is Party of 5. I'm using in the challenge. I'm focusing on the sock weight yarns, but I have a little challenge for myself before we start on Monday. I know this is so super crazy, but I'm actually going to make another shawl, a shawl it's actually the one I'm wearing that is in the workshop, but I'm going to show it off. And I think I'm going to go with something really crazy, like this super bulky yarn. It's from Universal. It's called Denims. I don't even know if it's still in their collection, but it's in my stash. So it's in my stash. And you guys know I'm all about the stash. And then another yarn that just happens, I picked these two, but this happens to be from Universal as well because, their color palettes match. Whisper lace. So I'm going really big with a really lightweight lace. And those colors, look at that. Look how, let me see if I can move it so you can see the colors a little bit better. Really nice. So I'm going really big. So this will be really meshy because I'm not going to change my needle size because I'm just going to stay with the same needle size. And then of course this is going to be, a little bit more in line with the gauge. So yeah, it's going to be fun. So I want you to spread your wings and experiment during the challenge. And that's what it's all about. Again, in caps, intuitive. It's all about intuitive shawl making. Okay. So how do I access the lessons? This is the last question, and it is that I'm sharing here because these are like the overarching important ones that people have been asking. So you'll be able to access all the lessons. They're all video lessons via email. So I'll be sending you out one email every day, and then you can watch each daily lesson. And then you can go back. So you can go back and you can watch the videos at your leisure during the 5 days. So no worries there. And I think that's it. So let me see. Did you guys have any other questions while I'm still here before I wrap up and give you some quick little links and calls to action to set you off? So Marlene says, yay, I have Denise interchangeables. Yay! They are great, aren't they? They are so cool. So I'll be talking about those more during the challenge because, they are so easy because they twist off as opposed to needing, other interchangeables, you need the little tool and you got to turn it, and I lose all the tools, but you don't need any tools for Linda. I'm sorry, Linda's the owner's name. Denise Needles. That was funny. Marlene says, will there be printables? Yes, there will be. So I mentioned the template that you are going to get on day 1. So that's going to be a template that you can print out for sure. And then you're going to also have a few other printables that you'll get as well during the lessons. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. So Christy says, going camping Monday and Tuesday, we'll look for replays. Yes, you can catch up. You can catch up, Christy, because the replays, so you can watch through Friday. Well, Friday is the last lesson, and then the replays will go away at some point. So Friday, then you'll have 24 hours to catch the replays. So I think by the time you get back, Christy, you'll have time to catch up. So let's see. So Michelle says, let's put it on screen. What is the consensus on selling something you've made from someone else's design? And when does their design become your design? This is a good question. Example, Sattva. That's what I'm wearing, my Sattva shawl. How many changes make it a new design? That is such a good question. And that is one that has definitely come up when I was still at Creative Knitting, because, I might get a design that looked like another design and it would be like, I don't know if that's, how similar is this to something else? But the truth be told, let's face it, this shape is it's a triangular shawl. So there you go. You can't really, the shape itself, that's not a problem, right? Because that's generic. As far as the stitch patterns are concerned, these are, so with this shawl, I've got open work and then rows of reverse stockinette that you can see on the bottom, and then the open work on the bottom. Now, if you were to change this open work in these areas, or let's say, plug in your own stitch pattern when you learn how to do that. And then, let's say you're adding more rows, of the open work. You change up simple elements. You actually can call that a new design, by the way. But you have to be very clear, and you have to make sure that you're not really taking another design and copying and pasting certain things and then changing out to make them your own. So I think, according to the magazine, Creative Knitting magazine, that there has to be 5 to 6 different elements that are different. Okay. And so, but also to answer your other question, I think you're asking, Michelle, on selling something you've made from someone else's design. Do you mean like if you were to make this, Michelle, my design exactly as is and sell it at your local craft show? You could totally do that. But I think you should reach out to the person who designed it. And if you have a tag on your work, you put, their name, you do something to just recognize them and say, just why not? Because the way I feel, you're going to sell it. If you are going to sell it at your local show, I mean, it's such a small group of people. It's not a big deal. These are people that are not going to be making that pattern. You're not giving them the pattern. So, and that's the copyrighted bit of information. So I don't know. Did that help you? I hope that helps you, Michelle. All right. So, but you know what, you guys, this is pretty much the end of the broadcast, and I'm going to jump into a quick wrap up. So, if you haven't signed up, you know where to go. Sign up for the shawl challenge starting Monday, karagottwarner.com/shawls to watch the latest to listen to the latest episode of Power Pearls podcast, which is with Tabetha. So you can go to powerpearlspodcast.com/79. Or if you just go to the main website, the Power Pearls podcast website, you'll see it because it's the latest episode. And then please support the podcast by going to karagottwarner.com/community, and you will see my Patreon page. You can sign up. Actually, there's a little box that gets you over there so you can support the show at whatever amount works for you. And I would be so grateful. So you guys, that is it. And I hope you have a great, fabulous day and rest of your week. And I will see you next Friday. Okay. Have a good one.